So here I've got the 2021 iPad Pros. This is the 11 inch, this is the 12.9 inch. And there isn't that much difference between them spec wise, apart from the obvious that this is a bigger screen than this. The main difference between these is that this one has the mini LED, the new mini LED screen, and this one has the old LED screen with the one backlight, whereas this has got lots of backlights. There's 2,500 dimming zones, 10,000 mini LEDs, so it's basically four mini LEDs per dimming zone, if that makes sense. So when you're using it like this, there isn't much difference. When you're watching a film, you'll notice the difference mainly on the black bars top and bottom. When you're watching, so when the movie's watching, you'll get the black bars top and bottom. That's where you'll really notice it. On here, you'll see that they're kind of like a grey, not a good black. You can see they're like a dark grey. Whereas on the mini LED, they're really good. They're really black. I haven't really noticed how good the contrast ratio is. Where it's supposed to be up to 1600 nits in HDR, I haven't actually been able to really test that and really see the difference. It might have been the content that I was running. Maybe it wasn't proper HDR content. And the other thing you get with the mini LED, which has probably been spoken about quite a lot, is this blooming effect, where they can't switch off all of the LEDs where it's going to be black, like on an OLED screen, where wherever you see black, the pixel, that's just it, that goes off, whereas they can't quite do it on the mini LED. So you get this kind of, it's like a haze around the image. You really notice it mainly on, say you're reading a book and you've got a black screen with white writing, and then what you'd see is there's like if there's text in the middle, there's a haze around it. I've tried to take a few pictures and they come out okay, where you can see the haze, but it's not as good as your eye, and I can't quite get the text focus properly. Everyone says it's kind of blown out of proportion. It kind of is. You don't really notice it on most kind of day-to-day use. Where I found that I noticed it was so I was in bed and I'm reading a book, so the brightness is all the way down because obviously the room's black. It's dark, pitch black room, so the brightness goes all the way down, and you have the black on the white, and that's where you notice it. If you have lots of text on the screen and you're scrolling through the page, then you won't notice it at all. But it's when the page doesn't have a lot of text on it. So I'll go into notes here. Obviously this is not in dark mode, you're not even going to see it, but I'll just demonstrate. I turn on dark mode there. So where you'd get it, so you've got the white text on the black background, and you'd get like a haze. Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't even see it in this scenario. Maybe a tiny bit, but it's not a dark enough room. The screen brightness is about halfway, but it's quite light in here, and you don't really notice it. But where you would notice it is that you get a haze around the text there, and maybe up there. This is notes, and where there's the white line there, you probably see a bit of a haze around there as well. Where you notice it mainly, if I went into books, this is not on. Let's turn off auto night and put on black. So this is what I was saying, where say you've got a black screen with white writing, but not a lot of text, then you would notice it, the hazing around all kind of around here and up here, and especially where this white bar is. You get that, you see the hazing around there. So the less text is on it, and if you're moving it, like the page number, when you see the kind of the haze around the page number, and that would follow you up and down. You probably can't see the page number there, but it's just there. You'd notice it a lot there. But if you've got a lot of text on when you get into, say, the story like that, then you don't notice it at all. You really have to look for it, and as you're just scrolling through, you wouldn't even see the blooming. It is literally when there's less text on the page. Sometimes where you'd see this blooming effect a bit as well. It's a funny one to say, because you've got where the black bars, top and bottom, because they go off, it makes it really good, it makes it really black. But where there's still images from the film, the haze actually goes into the black bar a little bit. So all the way along, you'll get this haze that just goes down there and up there. But it's not that noticeable really. But if you look for it, you would definitely see it. You probably won't see it on this video. Yeah, so this isn't the best lighting, and you're getting a silly reflection of the window there. So I'll try and move that out of the way. But here, as I said, the black bars top and bottom are really black. You do get a little bit of bleed or ghosting that goes onto the black because it can't turn the pixels off. I mean, they may be able to do something with software, because there is a lot of dimming zones, 2,500 dimming zones. So it's only four LEDs per dimming zone, so it should, be pretty good. That is the main difference with this mini LED and the blooming that people talk about. Also, someone else did point out that you're probably not about to see here. I may try and do another picture or video, but if you go into settings, because it's a brighter screen, all the way around the edge here, there's a very faint greyish line that goes all the way around, which you don't see on the LED. So you're probably not even going to be able to see on here either. But what I was getting at is that all the way around here, there's like not on this one, but on this one, there's a ever so slightly grey, like a shadow that goes all the way around. You would have to be told about it to notice it, I think. And now I've seen it, you kind of always see it. But that's only when you're on like a white background. On the LED, nothing, you don't get that at all. When you're in dark mode, you don't see that at all. Let's just go into dark mode. Because it's just black, you don't see any of that effect. So there's the screen technologies. It's a tricky one to decide what iPad you should go for, because the mini LED is a better screen. You have those slight issues with the blooming. It might be annoying if you read a lot of books in bed, but then reading a lot of books in bed with the 12.9 is maybe not the best thing to do anyway, because it's so big and heavy. Whereas I think you're pushing it reading a book with even the 11-inch. The best size for reading a book is either your phone or like the iPad mini. But they're a bit dated now. It'd be nice if they did a smaller kind of iPad Pro size mini, but they probably won't. So yeah, as I was saying, it's a toss-up really between the better screen and the size. I prefer the 11-inch iPad Pro size, because I personally use it more as a tablet than I do like a laptop replacement. Not necessarily a laptop replacement, but in that situation, I haven't got a keyboard, so if I had a keyboard, then it would be sat at a desk more so then maybe the bigger version would be better, because you get a full-size keyboard. I can actually bring up the keyboard there, but that's a full-size keyboard, and it's the same width. And basically the keys layout are the same, apart from the arrow keys and the escape key. You get like the number keys yeah, so basically forget about the top row, because there's no top row even on when you get the Magic Keyboard. So this is the same, so you get a full size. So if you're using with a Magic Keyboard or the Smart Folio keyboard, as that was called, or even one of these keyboards, maybe the bet if you're just having that as like a laptop replacement where it's always on your desk, this is the better size. But if you're gonna hold it a lot as a tablet, like, you know, like this, or just like this, or just holding it, the 11 inches is a much better size. It's surprising it's only like 2 inches, but it makes such a big, that feels so much bigger than this, in my opinion. Whether you should go for the 11 or the 12.9 inches, it's really, it is a personal preference, definitely. I think if you, I do say, I mean, you could have it on your lap with a keyboard, but I definitely think it's too big to hold as a tablet. To constantly hold it up if you're in bed reading it, on the sofa, on like your armrest, even carrying it around. This one is heavier. They did say they didn't put the mini LED in this one because of the weight that it would make, because it makes it heavier. People want portability. I'm not sure how much I buy that. I just think they decided to put it in this one first, and not this one. It makes it a bit of a shame that they don't put the good screen in, but I think they will in the next run. Hopefully they don't do what they did with, was it the iPad Mini 3 and 4, or one of the iPads that they did and then they would change it 6 months later. Hopefully they don't change this 6 months later to put this screen in. At least wait a year, or 18 months, but obviously this design hasn't changed now since the first kind of Face ID version of it, so it's been around a while now, so maybe they'll wait to do a refresh. But I also heard that they're going to do the MacBooks with mini LEDs as well, so I think they are going that way. I don't know why they're skipping OLED. Maybe they don't want to put OLEDs in bigger screens. Maybe they're worried about like the burning feature burning that you can get, and also that the OLEDs kind of lose saturation over time. They get dimmer over time. Or this mini LED was just like a gap in between, and they'll go to OLED maybe, or they'll probably go to micro LED. Maybe that would be even better for the effect. But hopefully they don't change this too quickly. I think they will in a year, or hopefully they will in a year. They'll keep this around and then they'll add that. It'll either be mini LED. Don't think she'll do micro. So yeah, this definitely, if you're going to have it sat at your desk, if you're going to be sitting at a desk with a keyboard, the bigger size would be better, because you don't need to carry it around too much. Whereas this one, if you just want to have it as like a, I don't want to say a consumption device, but a lot of people do use it for that, and that is the better size for consumption. Whereas if you want to get more stuff done, this would be the better size, because you've got much more real estate. But it's interesting to know that on the keyboards, let's get rid of this one. So the keyboards on these, they're actually quite different. Let's just get up here. What you first notice is that you get a row of number keys, which you do not get. So on the 12.9, you get a whole extra row of number keys, and above the numbers are the symbols, like the @ symbol, pound sign, percent, etc., which actually mimics. Let's get the proper keyboard. It actually mimics that. It's where you got the 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got the number keys. You've got the exact same symbols above the letters, above the numbers, and they copy it all the way over to here, like the dashes and the plus and the equal sign. Everything's exactly, the whole keyboard layout here is exactly the same as this. Whereas on the 11 inch, it isn't. It's a cut down version. So you've got the numbers above the QWERTY keys there, and like the @ symbols are there. So it's very much of a, this is like a replacement desktop keyboard. The Magic Keyboard is the same, And then on this you get a cut down one. You do get a full size keyboard on the Magic Keyboard, just not the on screen. It's obviously just because it's that much wider and taller that they can fit all this on. So that was the biggest difference. I do actually have the 10.5 inch iPad Pro, which is actually even more different on the row of keys, because you actually get on here, you get a tab key. So if I bring up the keyboard here on the 10.5 inch iPad, you'll see some differences. You've got, see the keys, the Q just starts right on the edge, whereas on here you've got, there's tab, caps lock, which you don't have there. You do have the shift key, but it's a tiny little key there. And then so the keyboard layout is more similar, and the what do we get? Yeah, they've swapped around the emoji key and the number key, but everything else is pretty much the same. Yeah, just because this was slightly wider screen, so they fit a bit more on. Anyway, back to these ones. So that's the keyboards. And really, apart from when you go split screen, you fit a bit more on. There isn't that much difference, apart from the fact that this is bigger and heavier than this. This is a tablet. In my opinion, it's a shame they didn't put the mini LED screen on here, because it is a bit of a toss up. It's like always, if you're going to get, you know, the iPad Pro, which is the best, you want the best screen. But what they've done, they've made people try and compromise between having this one, which is the better screen, and this older screen. So some people probably won't even upgrade from when they had the previous two versions even. The cameras are the same. The FaceTime camera is enhanced. It does macro. It can do like macro pictures. I don't know if that's because the centre stage feature, where if you have like FaceTime up, the camera moves around. Centre stage, so I'll do the camera this way, so you can see that. So here I am. I'm going to move this way. It's following me. Yeah, there's the camera. I'll go back up this way. It's following me there. Down. It's really clever, really clever. Definitely a good feature. Anyway. Another thing about these keyboards is that it's not a big deal, but because this is a full-size keyboard, if you're coming from an 11-inch and you're used to typing, it actually takes a little bit of getting used to get onto typing on the screen. You think that's weird, but everything's like here is kind of centered. The keys, like the letters are centered, so you kind of when you're typing on it, they're in the middle, and then when you go to this and you type, they're all shifted this way a bit more, just like on a proper keyboard. They're kind of this way more so. And having the actual row of numbers gets you a bit confused, because you're used to hitting the top row for like the QWERTY keys, and they're not up there. It's really strange. I didn't think it'd be hard to get used to, but when I was practice typing, it can really get you. Basically, these are the choices you have to make. Apart from the usual choices of the colour, storage size, and whether you want 5G, the choices are not so clear now with the screen. I think most people would be happy with this screen and wouldn't worry. But I think once you've used the mini LED and you go back to this, you're kind of thinking, oh man, why didn't they put it in the 11-inch? My predicament I'm in exactly the same boat as a lot of people. Which one do you go for? And I just don't know. It's like, I'm used to this size. I've had like the original like 9.7 inch screen iPads, and then 10.5 inch, and then this 11. I'm used to that, you know, rough size, and going up to this, it's just heavier. And another scenario, not that you would ever be in this position, but when I have my iPad here when I'm working, I'll put this keyboard back. I have it just there in front of my screen, and I can use it as like a secondary screen. It's easier to get to. Whereas if I can from here, I don't know if you can quite see on the camera, but from here I can see all my icons. So nothing's impeded. So when I'm sitting here working, I can see everything I need to get to. But if I shove in the 12.9 inch, everything is covered. All the dock is covered. It's still it's nice. I mean, I could have it on the side like that. What should I say? I could have it on the side like that and not worry about it. But I just prefer to have it bang in the middle. So that's another thing for me. And because I don't have a keyboard, and it is more of a secondary device, not a primary device, the bigger size is just too much. Apple, why didn't you put the mini LED in this one? And then it would be a much easier choice. A lot of people would be going for this because of the mini LED, and they might regret it. But this definitely feels like this is a tablet, and this is a tablet obviously, but it's more if it's sitting on your desk like that. If you're going to whip it out, this doesn't look too massive, too obvious. Whereas this, if you're holding it, you'll go, oh, that's a big iPad you got there. And if you are going to hold it, like your thumbs, you can't really type. You can stretch across, but it's a bit of a beast. I don't know if I'm trying to convince myself or convince you lot. I want them both.